My name is Sage Rivera, and for 33 years my mother has been the architect of my pain, teaching me that love was a reward for enduring it. She was the center of our world in a small Texas town. Charismatic, manipulative, the woman who demanded perfection but gave none in return. I was the scapegoat, blamed for her failures, while my brother was the golden child she shielded. I escaped, building a new family with my partner and our adopted daughter Lily. But when old patterns resurfaced in my own home, a secret inheritance scheme tied to my cousin's son Noah, I realized the family I built was echoing the one I fled. This is the story of what happens when the cycle repeats. A realization that forced me to break it, fight for Noah, and rebuild a family that loves unconditionally. The survival game. I grew up in a dusty town in West Texas, where the horizon stretched endlessly and my mother's control felt just as vast. My mother, Lorraine, was a force. Beautiful, demanding, a schoolteacher who ruled her classroom and our home with an iron fist disguised as love. My father, George, was her silent partner, a oil rig worker who came home exhausted and stayed that way. They presented a picture of Southern resilience, but behind closed doors, my childhood was a minefield of conditional affection and blame. From as early as I can remember, I was the target. My mother saw me as a reflection of her failures, too sensitive, too questioning, too different. When I came out as genderqueer at 16, she dismissed it as a phase you're making up for attention. "Why can't you be more like your brother?" she'd say when I pushed back against her rules. My brother Ethan was her golden boy, strong, compliant, the child she praised. Ethan got the praise, the extra helpings, the freedom. I got the criticism, the chores, the endless lectures about being a disappointment. Survival meant navigating her moods, hiding when she was angry, performing when she needed to show off her happy family. School was my refuge. I joined the counseling club, volunteered at a local shelter, and buried myself in books about family dynamics. I wasn't Ethan's kind of star, but I was empathetic. I won a state scholarship for counseling and earned admission to the University of Texas at Austin. When I told my parents, hoping for pride, my mother said, "That's fine, Sage, but Ethan's football team is going to state. That's the real achievement." My father grunted. I left for college with a suitcase and a vow to break the cycle. The escape in the echoes. Austin was my liberation. I was Sage, not Lorraine's disappointment, not Ethan's shadow. I majored in counseling, interned at a family therapy clinic, and found a community that embraced my genderqueer identity. I started therapy to unpack the PTSD and anxiety from my childhood, panic attacks triggered by loud voices, nightmares of my mother's rages. My therapist, Dr. Ramirez, helped me name the trauma: narcissistic parenting, scapegoating, emotional neglect. I graduated with honors and landed a job as a family counselor in Austin, helping families break cycles of abuse. My apartment in South Austin was a cozy haven of books and calming decor, a space where I could finally breathe. I met my partner Jamie at 28, a kind, supportive teacher who saw me for me. We adopted Lily at 30, a 5-year-old with her own traumas, and I thought I'd built the family I'd always wanted. But echoes of my past crept in, my anxiety making me overprotective, my fear of failure pushing me to perfectionism. When Lily acted out, I caught myself snapping, mirroring my mother's tone. The cycle was repeating, and I vowed to stop it. The secret came to light when I was 32, during a family reunion in our Texas home. Lorraine was there, still commanding, charming the relatives. My best friend Kara's son Noah was there too. Kara, the only person who'd ever seen through Lorraine's facade, had died 3 years earlier in a car accident. Her ex-husband Ben had custody of Noah, but he was unreliable, often ghosting my texts. I'd tried to stay in Noah's life, sending books and calling when I could, but Ben made it hard. At the reunion, Lorraine was her usual self, leading games and posing for photos. But Noah was quiet, his brown eyes fixed on the ground, his hands fidgeting with a toy truck. I noticed a bruise on his arm, faint but unmistakable. When I asked him about it, he whispered, "I fell." Lorraine quickly changed the subject, pulling Noah into a group photo, but my counselor instincts screamed that something was wrong. refusing the punching bag. Later, I took Noah to the backyard, where the Texas stars twinkled and the air smelled of mesquite and earth. "Noah," I said gently, "is everything okay with Ben?" He hesitated, then whispered, "He's always mad. Lorraine visits sometimes, says she's helping, but she just ignores me or tells me I'm making things up, like when I say I'm hungry." My heart stopped. Lorraine was involved with Noah's care and gaslighting him? That night, I couldn't sleep, my mind racing with Noah's words and Lorraine's visits. I'd noticed other signs: Lorraine's new watch, her boasts about investments. Was she stealing from Noah's inheritance? The next morning, I confronted her in her office, a sleek room of glass and chrome that smelled of coffee and ambition. My father was there, reading emails. "Why are you staying with Ben?" I demanded, holding up a photo of Noah's bruise. Lorraine's smile faltered, her eyes narrowing. "I'm just helping out," she said, her voice tight. My father muttered, "Don't start, Sage." But I pressed, and she let slip the truth. Ben was struggling with addiction, and she'd been supervising Noah, funded by my parents. She'd also taken control of Noah's trust, a hefty inheritance Kara had left, claiming it needed proper oversight. The watch, she admitted, was a gift from the trust funds. I stared at her, my hands trembling. Lorraine had turned my trauma into jokes my whole life, but now she was doing it to Noah, using him for material and money. I refused to let her turn his pain into a punchline. I drove to Ben's apartment that afternoon, a rundown complex in East Dallas. The place reeked of stale beer, with pizza boxes piled in corners. Lorraine was there practicing her routine while Noah sat alone drawing. "What are you doing here, Sage?" Lorraine asked, her voice sharp. "Come to play hero?" "I'm here for Noah," I said, my voice steady despite the rage inside. "This isn't okay, Lorraine. He's not safe here." She laughed, a cold, familiar sound. "You think you're better than me? You're not his parent." But I saw the fear in Noah's eyes, the way he clutched his drawing like a shield. He wasn't safe, and I wasn't going to let Lorraine's mockery destroy him. Taking a stand. That night, I called Child Protective Services, CPS, reporting suspected neglect. The caseworker, Maria, interviewed Noah and confirmed my fears. Ben's addiction had worsened, and Lorraine was barely present, often leaving Noah alone or mocking his needs as dramatic. CPS placed Noah in temporary foster care, and I filed for emergency custody. As a humor therapist, I'd used comedy to heal trauma, but this was personal. I knew the system's flaws: overworked caseworkers, biased courts, but I couldn't let Noah stay in that environment. I also hired a lawyer to investigate Noah's trust. Lorraine was furious, calling me to scream, "You're trying to ruin my life. I'm his guardian, not you." Her words triggered a panic attack, the PTSD flaring, but Dr. Patel helped me stay grounded. She'd turned my trauma into jokes, but now she was doing it to a child. I refused to let her win. I threw myself into the custody battle, using my therapeutic skills to build a case. I documented everything: photos of Ben's apartment, texts from Lorraine dismissing Noah's pleas, medical reports noting his bruises. I was fighting for Noah, but also for the child I'd been, the one whose pain was laughed away. My parents took Lorraine's side, as always. They called me ungrateful, accused me of jealousy. "Lorraine's doing what's best for Noah," my father said. "You've always been difficult, Sage." They cut me off, but I didn't care. Noah was my priority now. The courtroom battle. The custody battle was brutal. Ben, backed by my parents' money, hired a high-priced lawyer who painted me as an unstable comedian with no parenting experience. Lorraine testified that she'd been selflessly caring for Noah, claiming I was motivated by spite. My parents took the stand, saying I'd always been rebellious and unstable, twisting my PTSD into evidence of unfitness. I fought back with evidence: photos of Ben's apartment, CPS reports, texts from Lorraine telling Noah to stop being dramatic. I called character witnesses: my comedy club manager, who praised my integrity, my therapist, who testified to my recovery, and Kara's sister, who confirmed Kara would have wanted me to protect Noah. Most importantly, I had Noah's voice. In a closed session, he described Ben's rages and Lorraine's mockery, his voice trembling but clear. His drawings, dark sketches of a house filled with laughter at his expense, broke my heart and swayed the judge. The turning point came when I uncovered Lorraine's financial motive. Using my lawyer's forensic accountant, I found bank records showing Lorraine had siphoned funds from Noah's trust for expenses. Her social media showed the microphone set, designer clothes, and trips to Austin, paid for with Noah's money. When I presented this in court, Lorraine's charm cracked. She stammered, claiming it was temporary borrowing, but the judge wasn't convinced. The trust battle was equally fierce. My lawyer proved Lorraine's mismanagement, and the court froze the trust, appointing me as temporary trustee. The judge granted me temporary custody, with a plan for permanent guardianship if Ben and Lorraine didn't meet CPS requirements. Noah moved into my French Quarter apartment, and for the first time, I saw him laugh. A real joyful sound. Building a home. Life with Noah was a gift. I turned my spare room into a space for him, with joke books, a bed, and glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. He was wary at first, scared to trust, but we built a routine: school, therapy, comedy workshops. Noah loved improv, his laughter filling our home with joy. My PTSD and anxiety flared, panic attacks at night, fears of failing him, but Dr. Patel helped me stay grounded. I kept my job running humor therapy sessions for trauma survivors. My colleagues became my support system, helping with Noah's school pickups when I was at shows. Lorraine and Ben faded from our lives. Ben failed his sobriety tests, and Lorraine lost interest in the parenting classes. My parents faced legal scrutiny for enabling Lorraine's theft, their reputation tarnished. They tried to guilt me into reconciling, but I set boundaries, refusing to let their toxicity back in. The long road to healing. Over the years, Noah thrived. He joined the school's comedy club, his routines reflecting hope and resilience. We built traditions: Friday open mics, Saturday hikes in Audubon Park, holiday joke-telling sessions where laughter healed. One day he called me sage, then paused and said, "You're my family." I hugged him tight, my heart full. My career soared. I launched a comedy therapy tour, earning national recognition. I started a podcast about healing through humor, connecting with listeners who'd faced similar traumas. My chosen family, friends, colleagues, Noah's teachers, became my anchor. My parents softened, sending emails, but I kept my distance. Lorraine moved to Baton Rouge, chasing another spotlight, and I let her go. A new punchline. At Noah's high school comedy festival, I watched him perform a routine about turning pain into punchlines, his voice strong and clear. He dedicated it to me, saying, "Sage showed me laughter can heal." I hugged him, tears in my eyes, knowing I'd given him the safety I'd never had. My trauma was the family joke, but uncovering Lorraine's lies saved Noah and set me free. I'm Sage Rivera, comedian, guardian, survivor, and I've built a family that laughs with love, not at pain.